Yo, Commanders fans, this your man Gerard B with GerardBTV. Here to hit y'all with another one. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Daily Commanders content, sometimes multiple uploads in a day. Just depends on the news cycle and how I'm feeling, baby. So listen, we here to talk about the full 53-man roster projection, as well as who do we really think is going to make the practice squad, because that's really where all the roster battles are taking place. At the end of the roster, and that's mainly the way Adam Peters built the roster out, would be us being what I think they said like the second oldest roster in the league or something like that, and 27, 28 years old or something like that. Really is just inflated by 5 guys that's over 35. But hey, think about 60 with the addition of Von Miller. But neither here nor there. Definitely hit that like button, that subscribe button. Real insight. Let's get it, man. Let's get it. So quarterbacks, no brainer, super easy, right? You got JD5, face of the franchise, face of the NFC, future face of the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Easy peasy, lemon greasy. Marcus Mariota going to be his backup. You already know if he get caught in the pinch, he can help out, right? They even tried to implement that little play where they have him and JD on the field at the same time. We'll see if Cliff Kingsbury pulls that out this year. Now, this is where the camp, excuse me, this is where the camp battle starts. Sam Hartman or Josh Johnson, okay? So they brought Josh Johnson in, like as a camp arm, basically at this point, but it's really to try to see if Sam Hartman is about that stuff, right? If you have been progressive, right? We understand you Jayden Daniels' best friend on the team, but yeah, you're gonna have to show something, my boy. Either way, I only think they're going to carry 2 on the roster, and they'll have a third in their emergency quarterback, so they're fighting for that spot. So I see, obviously, Jayden Daniels, Marcus Mariota. I got Sam beating out Josh, right? Sam been having good practices based off of what you've been hearing in camp. So looking forward to hearing seeing what he's going to do, if you will, because all we're going to be able to see come preseason is Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson. We probably don't see Marcus Mariota much. We might see Jayden Daniels a series against Cincinnati just because that's a Monday Night Football, and that's going to be it. Obviously, the joint practices is where we're going to really get our just due, especially with this next group, the running backs. So listen, we already know this is one of the most polarizing positions on our team, one of the most underperforming units, if you will, on the team, and we all are looking forward to this new addition that we got, all right? But at the top of the depth chart, still going to be Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. Now, you do have Jacory Croskey-Merritt that's fighting for spots. You do got, and I think Jacory Croskey-Merritt is going to be fighting for actual snaps from Brian Robinson as well as Austin Eckler, as long as he can show he can catch out the backfield and he's shifty and he can pass pro. Because Jeremy McNichol and Chris Rodriguez, who are right behind him, they can pass pro. And Jeremy McNichol is a dog on special teams, and Chris Rodriguez is not a slouch himself. I see Chris Rodriguez more as the Austin Eckler type of running back. So we'll see. Then you also got Wiley as well. So we'll see about that. UCLA product. So we'll see. We'll see. I think a couple of those guys end up on the practice squad. If we keep 4 running backs, I got Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, Jacory, or Bill. I'm going to just call him Bill. And probably Jeremy McNichol just from the special teams aspect. I really want to see Rod to make his roster, man. He showed some things last year. But, I mean, it's not like he's like the next coming of anybody. He's C-Rod. Then you got the guys making it to the back of the roster, back of that depth, and Demetric Felton and Casimir Allen. Interesting names, both speed guys, give return ability. Honestly, it's going to come down to what they do in the joint practices and, more importantly, in the preseason games, right? And then they also got to deal with the numbers game. So they're not only fighting the people in their room, they're fighting against people that's not in their room. They're fighting against people that's, special teams or fringe double guys and all that kind of stuff. So, tough room. That's one of the toughest battles right there, that 4th running back situation, because will they even carry 4 running back? Something to think about for sure. So then we move on to wide receivers, all right? Definitely one of the deepest units we got. I want to say we carry in 11 and 12. I would say 12 wide receivers, I think it is, without me counting. And that's including Terry McLaurin. So let's see. Obviously, Terry McLaurin's going to be our 1. Debo's our 2. I got Noah Brown. I got Jayden Lane ahead of Luke McCaffrey. And Luke, I got Luke being that 5th wide receiver right now. However, it gets interesting because he could get jumped. KJ Osborne is a guy, but I mean, they did draft Luke, so let me stop being an alarmist. All right, so let me be real. Luke would be the 5. Then you got that fight for that 6th roster spot, right? So you're talking about KJ Osborne, Jacory Brooks, Jacoby Jones. So you got those 2 rookies, undrafted rookie. Then you got veteran Chris Moore, Michael Strachan, another UEFA guy. From I'm going to say last year, big tall dude too. That he offers something that no one other in our room offers. That size is crazy. And you got Michael Gallup. I think Michael Gallup will be cut. He just don't look the part. He probably one of the first cuts they made. And I don't think he'll be a practice squad guy neither, just because, I mean, he was retired last year. You can just pick him back up if you need him and put him in practice squad at any time this season. Braylon Sanders, I think we brought him in as a camp body. Tate Martin, same thing, camp body. So they're all fighting for practice squad spots. So everybody behind Luke McCaffrey is fighting for that 6 wide receiver spot. And then the practice squad, and I think they're only going to take 2, right, on the practice squad. So your practice squad guys might end up being a KJ Osborne and a Jacoby Jones, and let's just say they keep a Jacory Brooks on the active roster because he might show up enough where, oh no, we don't want to lose him, the young guy. KJ been around the league. They're not necessarily looking to snatch him up. And Jacoby, it's all about the opportunities they get. So those are my practice squad guys for the wide receiver unit. Tight ends, pretty simple. Zach Ertz, John Bate, then you got Ben Sinnott. It gets interesting after that because are we taking 4 tight ends or 3? The numbers, baby. So Kostianko, we all know about him from last year, special teams guy, has showed flashes on offense, so we'll see him obviously join practice as well as in those preseason games because him and Ben Sinnott and these other guys, Lawrence Cager, Cole Turner, Tyree Jackson, they'll all be in the preseason games battling it out, right? They're going to be battling it out for 1, maybe 2 spots on the practice squad roster, as well as maybe a potential roster spot here as a 4th fringe tight end. But I don't think we're going to take 4. I think we're going in with 3, and we'll probably have 1 or 2 of them on the practice squad. So I'm going to say Kostianko and either Tyree Jackson or Lawrence Cager, to be honest with you. They're just the guys that they brought in. Cole Turner, I think this is his last go around with us. Let's move on to the offensive line a little bit here. So at left tackle, obviously, we got LT at LT, right? Backing him up. That's interesting. So backing him up, to be honest, swing tackle wise, as long as we got Andrew Wiley and Trent Scott back there, I'm good with that. Nick Allegretti, left guard right now. I disagree with this list. So on my list, I got my left guard is Brandon Coleman. I don't know why they got Nick. I got Nick backing up Brandon Coleman, but I also got Nick starting right now for Nick Allegretti starting right now for Sam Cosmi on the right-hand side, right? But obviously, the starters would be, if everything was healthy, Laramie Tunsil, Brandon Coleman, Tyler Biadasz, Sam Cosmi, and Josh Connolly from left to right. Okay. The reserves, Andrew Wiley, Nick Allegretti. Unfortunately, Michael Dieter is the backup center. Trent Scott, versatile vet, can play tackle and guard. Practice squad guys, I think Tim McKay, the guy they brought in on that UDFA contract, and Chris Paul. I would say just because they're both developmental guards, you never can have enough of those type of bodies on the team. Now again, we will see how people like Foster Sorrell, Bobby Hart, Tyree Phillips, and the new guy they just brought in, Lucas Niang, how they hold out. But again, when it comes to the practice squad, it's a limited amount of spots, right? It's 16 spots total, 17 if it's the IPP player as a 17th option. So there we go. So moving on to defensive positions here. Okay. So on the defensive line, let's just start off with the edge rushers real quick. I got Dorrance Armstrong, Jacob Martin. Yep, that's right. I'm glad CBS is following along here. Let me see. Von Miller, obviously. Dietrich Wise. Cleveland Farrell. Javonte Jean-Baptiste. And I'm going to be honest, this is where that battle comes in at, right? Is it going to be Jalen Holmes, Andre Jones, or this TJ character who I've never heard of? Okay. That's something to think about. Then on the defensive tackle aspect, you already know the mainstays, Deron Payne and Johnny Newton backing him up. Then you got Javon Kinlaw and you got Eddie Golden. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. This behind, again, the back of the roster depth is the most interesting aspect of this team when it comes to how they want this roster to be built. So, okay. This is where it really gets interesting because I'm really about potential, but I like what Sheldon Day showed me last year, so we could bring him. I feel like we need to bring Sheldon Day back for sure. But who's gonna battle it out for that last spot? Between Carl Davis, Narelle Pollard, is it gonna be the IPP guy, Viliami Fehoko Jr., Ricky Barber? We'll see. Right. Again, they got Jalen Holmes being able to play both at the end as well as the tackle, giving a little flexibility. So practice squad guys, I'm gonna say Jalen Holmes and probably either Narelle Pollard or Ricky Barber. One of those two guys. So it's gonna be interesting. Again, this is a fight. We won't see this battle play out until the second and third game in preseason. Very interesting though. Very interesting. Now linebacker is interesting, right? Because the way this depth chart looks, it looks like we're running 3 linebackers sets. And if we were running 3 linebacker sets, I'm probably telling you it'd probably be Jordan McGee and not Dom Hampton. But if it is Dom Hampton, that's awesome. Not that another 5th round pick. But let's just look at linebackers as a whole, right? So you got Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louis, those are 2 all-pros right off the top. Easy money. Jordan McGee, 2nd-year guy, coming in to be a dog, backing up Bobby Wagner. Okay? Then you'll have Dom Hampton as your hybrid safety type, as well as Kane Medrano, versatile, and he flying around making plays. I know y'all heard about him all camp so far. So you got Dom Hampton and Kane Medrano rounding up the players that's actually going to play on the field. Then you'll have Nick Bellore as your special team fiend. Shout you out, Lou. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how that goes. Really, the only battle is for one practice squad spot, and that's between Cam Arnold and Ale Cahill, the 2 rookies this year. Now, Ale Cahill was a UCLA guy, so just know he has a leg up on Cam Arnold. That's just about relationships, and that that's half the battle, right? So let's move on to corners. With corners, right? Easy. At the top is easy anyway. Marshawn, Trey Amos, Mikey Sanderstill. That's your 3 at the top. Then you got Jonathan Jones and Noah I. Noah I said, I'm not going nowhere. I'm here to make plays, right? And he gives you good boundary depth. And again, he does play special teams as well. We don't want to see him as a punt returner, but he's fine doing anything else. I don't care, gunner or whatever. I don't care. Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? Kevin Seymour or Kevon Seymour and Colin Vigors. Now, they gave Colin Vigors a little biggie bag to come over to the team during, as an undrafted free agent. So, will they both make the practice squad or only one? Bobby Price, I think he's a cut candidate. I just think, we'll see. But I think they like Kevon Seymour and Colin Biggers a little bit more, just because again they brought those guys in this year. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not putting anything past them because they definitely do their thing when it comes to this roster building aspect. Safeties. So with the safeties, we got Quan Martin, Will Harris, Tyler Owens. He's been a camp standout so far. Percy Butler, he just got paid, so he'll definitely be here. And Jeremy Reed, he's our glue guy. He's special teams demon, but he's also getting snaps at safety this year too. And that, from some of the reports, he hasn't been doing bad. So, I like what I'm hearing as far as the trigger and react. I think Dan Quinn was talking about him in the presser this past week. So, again, if the coach is shouting you out or talking about you in a good way, you're doing something right, my guy. Robert McDaniel, the UFA we brought in, definitely solid practice squad stash. We'll see him next year. Ben Nickel, Trey Rucker, probably gonna get cut. All right, they're probably gonna get cut. They might stash Ben Nickel as well on the practice squad, just depending on how the numbers shake out. Y'all already know what the special teams looking like. Matt Gay, the kicker, Tressway, the punter, Tyler Ott, the long snapper. Again, your kickoff return guy is looking like it's going to be Deebo Samuels and Austin Eckler. And your punt returner is looking like it's going to be Jayden Lane. So those are all the positions so far as of the 3rd of August. So on practice squad, it's 17 guys because I added Villamor Fehoko. Again, you got Carlin Biggers, Tyree Jackson, Robert McDaniel, Ale Cahoe, Cam Arnold, Ricky Barber, Nerol Pollard, Tim McKay, Chris Paul, Yankoff, and one of the other tight ends, I'm not sure which one, Jacoby Jones, and maybe Chris Moore or KJ Osborne. I'm not sure which one's going to make it, but one of them, because I think Ja'Cory Brooks is making his roster. Michael Wiley is a practice squad guy. Casimir Allen is a practice squad guy. And Sam Hartman, our guy, is a practice squad guy. So I might have had more than 16 or 17. I think I was right at 17, to be honest with you. Check my math. Let me know in the comment section where I was at. But that's my updated 53-man roster projection. We got preseason with the New England Patriots. We got joint practice coming up. We got a preseason game coming up this week. So we going to be locked in, baby. We going to be locked in. So if you like this breakdown, do me a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe. And if you still checking us out at this point, you joining the wave, baby. Welcome to GerardBTV with Burgundy and Gold. Yo, we never fold. And we out.